Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Hello. We're back, Mark.
I need a better one from you than that. I need a better we're back.
We are back.
There we go. That's better.
There you go. The southern studio is burnt to the ground. The northern studio has become the main studio.
It is alive and well.
So, yeah.
Well,
What a great
such
show
is
we got
life.
today, Mark. What a
Yes.
great show. We've been absent a while we're trying to get our master's degrees finished. We can
Sharpen the pencils.
confirm we passed with flying honours.
We did not embarrass ourselves.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. We didn't humiliate ourselves. Two middle-aged men going, yeah, I think we can do this.
Yeah. Unlike
And we get to wear a cool hat and a dress.
Yes.
Although I was quite upset because you have to measure your
dress,
head.
it's a gown, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but you have to measure your
You're
head
gonna
size.
look
And
like
I've got a weird shape.
Harry Potter. I'm going to have that wand underneath my cloak. I'm going to go on stage and go, if I could.
You're going to have a wand under your coat.
Yeah.
Really?
No. Right, Mark, talking about disgrace. I mean, this is huge, isn't it? This is the gambling episode. The gambling episode. Just in.
I can't think of the last time something like that's happened, like UK sport-wise.
I reckon it's happened a lot more than
Footy.
we know.
Footy, I'd imagine. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was other sports as well.
Well, you had some famous ones in football,
Yeah.
but it doesn't happen all the time. But I reckon in basketball, it is one of those sports, and I've been thinking this for years. It's one of those sports could easily be manipulated. Do you want to read this, or do you want me to read it?
Go for it. You go for it.
So this just in: 5 former Surrey Scorcher players have been given 4 have been given lifetime bans. And 1 has been given a 10-year ban for match fixing in the BBL during the 2022-2023 season. I mean, that's nuts, isn't it?
It's weird. It's really weird that was 22-23. So that was the first go around of the rebranded, brand new, what was the BBF at the time.
Yeah.
That was the first year that they got that rebrand and made it all look nice and polished. They did the new logo and everything like that. So obviously someone was they thought, oh, if someone else is putting money into it, at the time 777 put money into it, it makes sense that people went.
Yeah. Well, look, I just want to give you some context to this.
Doesn't make sense to me, but yeah, give me the context.
So, oh man, I forgot. I checked out where the Surrey Scorchers were the season before.
Yes.
And they were bad. It was probably, I think it was worse than 4 and 32. So 4 wins, 32 losses in the season we're talking about.
Oh, yeah,
I
they're
think the
terrible.
season before it was 2 wins. I could be wrong there.
Yeah.
But they were bad.
Yes.
But the players we're talking about is Charles Dobbs, Quincy Taylor, Shaquem Johnson, and Paderick Wang.
Yeah.
I loved him.
Wang was really good. Paddy
We
Wang was
talked
really good.
about him quite a lot. I'm really disappointed
Yeah.
in those players.
Yeah.
And then Joshua McFoley as
Wang
well.
was a very exciting player to watch, wasn't he? He's very,
Yeah.
very exciting, very, very, I'm going to say slippery, because you could just see, he'd get that ball when he just that little shimmy go through. Yeah, that's
You know what?
weird.
But I'm going to highlight some things. I just want to get your opinion on this. All 5 of those players.
former players, I believe. They are all former players.
Oh, they can't play now.
No, but they are all former players. They are not currently at the Surrey 89ers.
Yeah, correct. And Joshua McFoley, I mean, he was...
So
he
I just want
can't
to
play
put
until 2034, but he was like 30-something, 32 or something like that. So he's like, all their careers are over. But just your view on this, Mark. All 5 American players. Interesting, isn't it?
Do you know what colleges they come from? Are they all from
I
similar?
could have told you.
No.
but
I'm just
I
saying
don't.
as in if they were similar.
But I can tell you where they're
Right,
from.
look,
So
I have to be honest. I've gambled on basketball.
I think
I have gambled on basketball games. Purely because I found that the online platform that I was using at the time, they were giving really good odds for NBA games. It was NBA games, not UK basketball. But it was sort of like, I don't know, let's say Golden State, when they're on their incredible run, it was like Golden State beating Miami. And the odds where you looked at it and went, hang on a minute, if I do a spread bet here, I am, unless Miami do something really crazy, Golden State are going to take this, like, without thinking about it, and the odds are really good.
Sometimes they do make mistakes, don't they?
And they make some quite obvious ones, because especially like we know with basketball, if once you've got teams with a momentum, it can change as well, because they can go on the road. And a team that can be like, yeah, they've had this great run, but now they're going on an 11-game road journey, and you think, right, that streak's going to come to the end. So if you go for someone who's going to be an away team and put a low bet on, you could actually do really well out of it, because you know, not giving it away, but as we've seen with the two teams that are in the finals of the NBA at the moment, like that, 2 seasons ago you wouldn't go, oh yeah, they'll be tough to go to. Now it's like no one wants to go play in those arenas because they're hectic.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the bookies don't tend to get it wrong, but they do make mistakes every now and then. And you know what? I'll say the same thing, Mark. I've seen it in the BBL. You look at it and you go, London Lions at home against like Surrey Scorchers, and it's like 4-1 for London to win. And you think, I'll chuck a 10 on that. Like, something you look at and think, hang on, is someone injured? But where we were talking about it all the time, you think, oh, screw it. I didn't put that much on. But sometimes you see a thing. Look,
there were some weird games. Oh, no, that was the season before. I was just thinking, Surrey, one of the teams that actually beat them, but no, it wasn't, was it?
No, I think, that was our...
That was the season after. That was 23-24. Yeah. I was just thinking some of the... Because wasn't it Surrey and Plymouth, if I remember rightly? Excuse me, with the two teams that beat London last season. Yeah. And it was, everyone was like, what?
They were down the bottom, yeah. And it was like, know where it came from.
The bogey teams, and Plymouth were the first people to do it. I remember that, because everyone was like, they did nothing the rest of the season, but they beat London.
Well, Mark, look, how can players do this, and what are they doing? So for those who don't know, I'm just going to go into the detail of how players can make money from a basketball game. And let's face it, a single player on his own can manipulate a game. That is a fact. That is an absolute fact.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think the main thing that I wanted to tell our listeners is, how do they make the money? So I've got a few scenarios that I've written down here.
Okay.
So the common methods for match fixing. So one of them is called outcome fixing, and that's where players or referees manipulate the final result of the game, ensuring a team wins or loses. So, how would you bet that? Well, what you would do something called point spread fixing. So you're manipulating the spread, yeah? So I know this is possibly going to confuse people, but so in betting, if a team doesn't win and they just fall short of a predicted margin, a player or coach can ensure that the team loses by more than what they're expected at the bookies.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So what they do, where is it? I can't find the name.
I like the fact we're actually giving sort of like subverted sort of gambling advice in a way. Please gamble responsibly if you are someone out there who does gamble.
Here's my example.
It can be
That's
fun right up until it's not.
Right, so this is what they do. So, where did I put it?
When you're ready, Grandad. He's got the glasses.
I've got
out as well.
14-page thing on this, and I made the mistake by paper. What's that? Stapling it together.
Papering the staple.
So right, look, this is how it works. Right, let's say let's talk about the NBA finals at the moment. So you got Indiana Pacers versus the OKC. Now let's say the game is in Indiana, and Indiana are going to be favorites to win. Okay, and
in fact, carry on. I'm going to get the odds for it, because I've actually got the odds for it right now.
I'll be interested. My guess will be 8 or 12, between 8 and 12 Pacers as the spread.
No, it was a brilliant. Here we go. It came from ESPN, and it said teams that win Game 3 with the series tied 1-1 in the finals have a 33-8 series record.
Yeah,
now that's interesting, isn't it?
We actually said that same stat this time last year.
Yep,
I'm pretty sure we did, or maybe in our first season.
And that, I mean, 33-8, and the Pacers just taking that Game 3, and they're in Indiana at the moment, so they got Game 4 coming up.
Yeah, let's see.
I'd love. I every part of me as a Seattle fan wants it to be Indiana winning.
Yeah. Well, look, let's come back to that.
Yes, sir.
So let's say the bookies have got Indiana to win by 10 points. It doesn't matter what the score is. Mm-hmm. It's 10 points.
Yep.
So as a bet, you can say, I think Indiana are going to win by more than 10 points. So you then put however much money, say £10, on them to win by 11 or more.
Yeah, over-unders, yeah.
And then you'll be getting whatever you get. Or you can say, I think Indiana... I think OKC are going to lose by more than that spread.
Yeah.
But then if they win, you still win the bet.
Yes.
Yeah? So that's what they're doing. And now how can a player manipulate that? So let's say what they'll normally do is they'll wait till there's a game where there's an underdog coming up.
Yeah.
So let's say who's bottom of the NBA at the moment?
Washington.
Okay, so let's say Indiana versus Washington.
Yeah.
They'll know what that spread is. So let's say they say Indiana are going to win by 20 points.
Yep.
What they'll do is the people who are trying to make the bet will put the bet on Washington to not lose by that.
Yeah.
And they'll put the money on Washington, and then the Pacer players will deliberately miss baskets and do that so it goes under that. Whatever that number is. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the Pacers could still win the game by 8 points and the people would still win the bet.
Yep.
So that's how these players do it. Now, there are other ways they could be doing it. They could be betting on themselves to score over 20 points. Mm-hmm. They could be betting on themselves to be doing triple doubles. We know we haven't seen many triple doubles in the BBL. It doesn't happen often.
They could be betting on Angel Reese to get the first basket.
People are doing that. She's actually making the first basket quite a lot.
I know. But they are. They're making those bets on it. Sorry, Angel, but they are. They're betting on you, like missing the first one.
So these guys are potentially manipulating the game to affect that final score.
Yeah.
A player's committing a foul early in a game, missing free throws, technical foul, not scoring in a specific quarter. So you've got the famous referee in the NBA. What was he called? There's a great Netflix documentary on him called Flagrant Foul.
What, the one who took the money?
Took the bribes. He was basically saying, basically had inside information.
Yeah.
And he was giving it out. So the thing with all of this is, and this is where I think it's probably almost certainly happened in the UK before. We just don't know about it.
Tim Donaghy.
Yeah, Tim Donaghy. He's the referee.
Yep.
So why I think this is because, and this is why the Surrey Scorchers in particular, they're down the bottom of the league. So they would be having these games where something could be manipulated, I think, somewhere.
They would know as well because, like you say, it's that those sort of games are the one. I mean, I think it was Orlando used to have a real, I think it was the Lakers. They were always a bogey team. Whenever the Lakers came to Orlando or Orlando went to LA, they would really have a tough time. And you look at it and think Orlando would never be competing with them, even like this in the Kobe times and everything. It was for some reason they just had this, like, they were the bogey team. So on those sort of rare things as well, the people will look at the seasons but not take into account the fact that, for some reason this team just gets under the skin of this team. even though they take in previous
But
results.
that's inside knowledge. So that's not. There's no cheating there for that.
No, exactly. They'll say that, but that what I mean is those sort of games as well, because of that nature, there's no reason why someone wouldn't want to disrupt that sort of game because it's the same sort of thing. It would be, if they know it's a bogey team, it could go either way. So the bookies are a little bit, I won't say more nervous.
Well, I think that's where that Donahue was coming in.
Yeah.
Donahue. Was it Donahue? Was it Donahue?
Yeah.
That's where he was saying things like that. So, it could be that these 5 players got together and said, Paddy Wang, we're going to make sure he scores over 20 points. And that's what the bet's going to be on.
Yes, I would think so. But at the same time, I'm staggered that they needed to do it.
Well, look, and this is my point, and this is where I think we can sympathise with it in a way. Look, we're not condoning this at all whatsoever, and there's no place for it in the sport. However, and I don't know what their salaries were. I'm guessing, but when you got a guy who's on 25, 30 grand, yeah.
Yeah.
And he gets offered 10 grand to fix one game or 20 grand to fix one game. Is he going to do it?
Yeah.
He's going to think about it, isn't he?
I understand. Yeah. But everyone's got a life decision. No one knows what other people's journeys are like, for sure. The way you said that, though.
Oh, how did I say it?
It was kind of like, when someone has broken something, and like they crashed a car or something, and then someone goes, "What happened?" You went, "Let me explain what happened." It's like, "Oh, you effed up. That's what happened." The end. Like, it doesn't matter what the story's going to be, but you dropped the bomb.
When it comes to money, you can sympathise with people on low salaries. I mean, this is potentially, it's close to minimum wage. Some of these guys are on. So when someone turns around and says, "You just need to miss your free throws, and we're going to give you 20 grand." Like,
we don't know the figures, by the way.
No, I'm guessing this. I'm asking. I'm trying to dig around, but it will come out at some point.
I think the reality is, like you said, everyone will have a number.
Yeah, exactly. And look,
everyone would have a number.
And
no, everyone would.
I'm not a huge fan of him, but I got a great example of that, Mr. Beast. And why I don't really like him is because he walks around and basically says, "Dance, monkey, dance." And he gets to your figure and goes, "Okay, you're going to do that for 20 grand. Oh, okay, 50 grand, 60 grand. Oh, right, now you're going to be a monkey. Go."
Yeah, exactly.
So again, and that's why maybe understand is probably the wrong word to use. Maybe that's why I sympathize the situation.
Yeah,
there's probably a financial thing. These guys are from America. They've all played in the NCAA, and then they've not made the NBA draft, and they've come over to the UK. Mm-hmm. It's a big drop down from NBA prospect down to playing basketball in the UK.
And a lot of them, the reason that they'd come to the UK is they'd have come in because they wanted to go to Europe. And whether people like it or not, the UK was really well placed because of its relationship, economically, its relationship with America. It's really well placed to be a feeder league. Look at what the NBL has done with I think it's All-Star, Rising Stars, or whatever they call it, over in Australia. They made it like a bit of a feeder going through to the NBA, and the NBA now actively look at those players and see what's going on, and you've got players two-weighing across. The UK had a hint that it was doing that, and we've had loads. I mean, we've talked about Colin Irish and the people right back in the 80s. We've always had American players over here. It's always been a thing. But they've used it as a gateway to get to Europe. Yeah. So I think all these guys now, lifetime bans. That's
you're done. And it might not even be. And again, I will use the word sympathetic. We don't know. It could be that they were coerced into something. It could be that they were in a certain situation where they owed someone money, and now they're being bribed to do that. Or you only have to do one game, and you're now covered.
We don't know people's life situations. It's unusual that there's so many of them. It might have been they've done it once or twice, and then I won't say third time's the charm, but I thought what was interesting about the report was that you had the old was it is it FIBA were working with the BBF, and they were working with someone else, weren't they? There was a whole chain of people who were investigating this. It wasn't just like, oh, this just happened. That there was a whole thing going on, but we've never heard about it until now.
They kept this quiet.
No, that's what I'm saying. You think of all the things that have been going on in UK basketball, and it's been pretty up and down. And this, we've had people missing plans, we've had those people banned for drug tests and those sort of things, or whatever, all that sort of stuff. And this, under the radar.
No, but can I just say, last season in the SLB,
yes,
we had multiple players leave
randomly, didn't we?
Under dark clouds.
Yep.
And we was like, is it drug related? Maybe. I didn't even think about betting.
No.
You never know. This might be a common thing.
Yeah.
And I wonder. I really do wonder.
I mean, there's no if you were a gambler, and that sounds silly, but you're not going to gamble on the football. You're not. Because if you gamble on the football and stuff, they're going to be expecting that. And there's a lot of people who do that. And you can't really rig it. The people are so high profile. The Premiership is the best football league in the world, I think. So it's like, it's too scrutinised.
The football will be hard. There's a lot of money bet on the football as well.
But then if you flipped it the other way and went, what about darts? What about canoeing? What about no, I can't say it. Tennis. But any of those sports, they're still popular and televised, and they've got money going into them, but they may be not as scrutinised.
Yeah.
And then if you look at, I say, what was going on at that time, the league had a big rebrand, a lot of money come into it. People might have thought, it might have been going on for ages, and these poor guys were just the next batch of people it might have been going for 20 years, this.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how involved they are in that. But what I will say, this is really important.
Imagine if it was like $1,000 each. That's what.
The sad thing is, Mark, it might be. You never know. It might be. But this is the really important thing is, and this is what I wanted to cover as well, is that let's say we're now trying to do this and get away with it. Okay?
So we are planning this.
Yeah. So let's say we're going to do it. So let's say we're going to match fix, and the odds are suddenly, and the odds that we're getting, let's say, are 10-1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I post the link on the socials then?
Actually, you're never for doing match fixing, you're never going to get odds of 10-1. But for this argument, let's just say it is. So it's 10-1, and now we start putting money on it. Yeah. I start putting a load of money on it. You start putting on it. No, for the likes of me and you, we'll do it, and it'll be fine, and it'll be under the radar, and that will stay at 10-1. Now, what happens with these things is people will talk. I'll tell someone, you tell someone, and more people are making that money. And that 10-1, after a certain amount of money goes on that now goes to 7-1.
That's right, yeah.
So you've actually, by betting, you've affected the line.
Yeah, of course you have, yeah.
Now, my gut, because some of the betting agencies were involved, is that betting line has swung so much because so many people are putting money on it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were going to do this and try to get away with it, you wouldn't want to affect that betting line. But let's say I suddenly went and put £1 million on the Surrey Scorchers to lose to a team that they should beat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would affect the betting line massively because it's £1 million. No one would take £1 million bet because they'd go, what is going on there?
Okay.
So you'd have to spread it over multiple betting agencies as well.
Question.
Shoot.
If you're doing that, would you not use AI? Because I'd imagine a lot of these bookies, that's what they use. They work on pattern recognition. That's how part of the things are, like you're saying, you can affect that bottom line and you can move that statistic. Once this amount of people have put this amount of bets on, this is the totality of the bets, and this percentage of those bets is on there. That then affects the number, as you say, which is relating to what your odds are going to be. So it's always almost like a live feed of what is going on. So
you're chasing it, yeah. So potentially more money goes on.
So there's no reason why they haven't got a large language model, which a lot of people know as AI, but it is actually an LLM. And they've got one of those sat in the background looking at, well, hang on a minute, we've suddenly got an influx of bets.
Well, exactly. That's the whole point.
That's the Manchester. Whole point. No one's ever bet on Manchester before. Now we've suddenly got a flood of them. Why is that? So,
but your red flags start coming up.
Exactly. But people, if they're doing that all around the country or whatever, people aren't going to really see that because it's people around the country. It's irrelevant. But machines now can probably spot that. So my question is, on the basis of we've seen in the last 2 to 5 years, depending on commercial or non-commercial variants, we've seen a lot of AI and people using computers to do all this pattern recognition, right? It's been going on for decades in the background and industry. My question is, I wonder if this is the case that it happens in basketball. I wonder how long it's gone on for.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I reckon it has. And as long as you're staying underneath the radar, you'd be okay about it. But again, exactly what you said. Let's just pretend you're a booking agency. So you're
can I be Ladbrokes?
All right,
No, can I be William Hill?
All right,
I like that.
You're the betting agency.
Blue with the gold.
And
Lovely.
across the whole board, all the games, let's say there's £10,000 bet for every collection of game. Yeah.
It's a big bet for a British basketball.
No, that's everyone included.
Oh, okay.
Everyone.
Right,
So across all the games for a whole week. Yeah, let's say £10,000.
£10,000.
Now, all of a sudden, that goes up to 100 grand and 90 grand is on one game.
Yeah, no.
Red flag, you'd be going, what's going on?
Yeah.
And that's why I believe these agencies are involved in this thing, because they've highlighted this has happened. They're focusing on 6 games in that season. They don't do it all the time. When you do fixed betting like this, you got to pick the right game. And that's the whole point. You're usually going for one where there's an underdog. And you're just
like a professional. Well,
look, that is let's say we're the London Lions, yeah, and we're going up. Who finished bottom of the SLB this year?
That is a good question.
Was it Surrey? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Oh, we're disgraceful.
Yeah, it is disgraceful. Let me get my phone. I genuinely don't know.
It was because it was so tight. Why are you laughing?
That's what she said. I'm trying to think, and I'm literally gonna look it up.
Let's do a live example of this. So, sorry, who won the league? It was London won the league, yeah.
Literally loading up.
London won the league.
Yes, yeah.
And who was bottom?
Just getting the table now. My God, this site is clamoring. Oh yeah, I was going to say it wasn't Bristol. No, Caledonia. Of course it was.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking.
Freefall.
Sorry, we saw at the bottom, but
we saw him play.
Yeah.
All right, let's say so.
The 2 teams we saw play were at the bottom.
So London versus Caledonia, yeah.
Yeah.
And the betting is saying
Scottish.
London is going to win by 10 points. Yeah.
Yep.
We're now playing for the London Lions, and all our money goes on saying that we're going to lose. We're not going to win by 10 or more.
Yes.
So we're saying we're going to either lose the game or we're going to win for up to 9 points. And that's the bet. Now, let's say we're the star players of the London Lions.
Yeah.
Well, when we're up by 15, we're just going to start making mistakes, start traveling, start turning the ball over. And bam, you get that magic number.
Yeah.
I've got a real life example of this.
Let's have it.
Let's have it, Mark. Let's have it.
Let's have it.
And I feel really sorry for this guy. Well, yeah, I feel sorry for him. So in 1994, Arizona State basketball, they had what I believe has happened here, which is a point shaving scandal. And it is the most notorious example of match fixing in US college. I was going to say basketball, probably sports.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what happened. And
is that AAU? I think it is, isn't it?
ASU.
Oh, okay.
Arizona State University. The Sun Devils men's basketball team. So basically, there is a guy called Headache Smith. Oh, sorry. His name is Isaiah Smith, but everyone called him Headache.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he was there. He was ASU's star point guard.
All right.
And he was like the central part of this whole thing.
Oh.
Now, I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is that he got in a little bit of debt with the wrong people.
Yep.
And they turned around and said, all we ask of you is you fix one basketball game and all your debt's covered, and we'll also give you money. And he was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. But then they turn around and say, no. You can still win the game, but you can't win by more than 6 points or 7 points or whatever it was. We'll let you know what that is. And he's like, oh, okay, I can win the game and all my debt's covered and I get the money. And they're like, yes. And I wrote the game down here for you.
Lovely. Was it on a Tuesday?
Right, so there were 4 games. These were the first 2. So
not one then.
So what did I say?
No, they said you just got to do it for that one game.
Well, it evolves.
Yeah, of course. That's what I was about to say. That one handful of games.
Oregon State, they were playing Oregon State. ASU were favoured to win by double digits.
Yeah.
Headache gets a phone call and says, you cannot win by more than 6. 6 is your number. And he's like, got it.
What? If
yeah.
you expect to be double digits, I guess that's 10.
So the betting guys, the guys who are putting all the money on, they tell him 6 when it's probably more like 8 or 9. So they've put a little bit of safety net for them.
Yeah.
So from their perspective, if ASU lose, they still win. Yeah. So as long as they don't win by more than a certain amount,
8 and
they
over.
said 6 is fine, no more than 6. And so Headache turns around and says, got it. But he also brings in one of his buddies, who's called, where is he? Smith.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Smith. It's one of his buddies. Oh man. Damn it, I didn't write it. So one of his teammates, he says to him, you can make some money here.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes, we can't do this. And he says, look, you're going to make 20 grand. And he's like, I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah.
So they're both making 20 grand. So first game, ASU are favoured to win double digits. Headache starts committing uncharacteristic turnovers and poor plays.
Yeah.
ASU won the game by 6. He got it bang on the number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone wins.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who was actually putting the bet on was a guy called Benny Silman.
Yes.
He orchestrated everything. Now, he went to Vegas and put a load of money on everything.
Right.
But we're talking like $500,000 he put on.
Oh, he went stupid. Okay. Yeah.
He wins. He's now got, no, what was it? Did he start at 250?
Yeah, he went big time and went greedy. Yeah. Okay.
I think he put $500,000 to start. Anyway, he's now got $1 million in his thing, and he's like, 20 grand you, 20 grand you. The players look at it. So Headache goes, man, this is amazing. My debt's paid off. I've got 20 grand in my pocket. The teammate turns around and goes, I'm going nuts. They're probably doing the wrong thing. They start splashing the cash.
Listen, no one at that point had seen the film Goodfellas. So they'd never got that life lesson about what are you doing. Don't go around buying the new cars. You don't buy the new fur coats or anything like that. They weren't guided.
Well, that's exactly what Headache Smith does. He buys like a 30 grand car. Not yet. He does it soon. Anyway, so what happens is Headache Smith goes back to Benny Silman. He phones him up and says, let's do one more. Silman's like, okay, cool. I'll let you know. But we're not doing any more after the 2. And he's like, okay, cool. And this is, no, I'll come back to my point. I was going to say, this is why I feel potentially sorry for the guys with the BBL, but I'll come to it why in a second.
Right, yeah.
And it's conjecture, what I'm about to say. But anyway, so Silman then goes, right, he takes all the money he's made in profit.
Uh-huh.
And so he's got $1 million, and he chucks it in on, he goes, this is the game, phones Headache up, 6. 6 again. You can win by 6, no more than 6. Headache's like, got it. Silman goes to Vegas, puts all his money on like over $1 million on this. What happens?
They lose.
No, ASU win by 6.
Oh. Okay.
Silman goes to Headache, 20 grand. 20 grand for your buddy. He's now like got 2 million. Over two like 2.5 million in profit. And he says, we now stop.
Yes.
Because we've gone under the radar. We've not affected the...
How do you win $1 million and go under a radar?
Well, because he spread it over loads of bookies. So he got like...
I mean, I'm saying that's Vegas, isn't it? Like
he got loads of his buddies to come in. Now, what happened was for that bet in particular, they got really lucky because there was like some NFL tournament or something was going on with the NFL,
right? And
there was a lot of money in Vegas. So they went under the radar.
Oh, there we
go. They did it, and it was like, wow. So, what happens next is...
Got greedy.
The Silman guy, the guy who's the bookmaker who organised this, he's like, right, we're done. We're doing no more. We're under the radar. That's it. We're done.
Yep.
I think this is a federal crime in America. It's a big deal.
It's federal because you're going across state lines, isn't it? That's the reason.
It's jail time.
Yes.
It's jail time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the bookmaker gets a call from someone he knows, and they're saying, we're going to do one more game. And he's like, no, we're not. There's no way we're going to do it. And he goes, no, you don't understand. My friend is the person who's asked me to make this call is a drug dealer, and this is the criminal world. They know someone who's organising it. We're now doing this. You got one more game. And now they're committed. Because now he's going to the young guys who've just bought a 30 grand car and all this. And he's going, do you want to do one more game? And they're like, yes. I'm running out of money. Yes.
Yeah.
But now, do you know I said about how much money gets put on?
Mm-hmm.
You now got drug dealers involved.
There we go.
So the third game is a game in Washington. So much money gets put on. So the original bookmaker, he takes his like 2.5 million, whatever he's made.
Yeah.
I think it might be 2.5 million he's made by this point.
Yeah.
Puts the whole thing on again.
Yeah, it's lunacy.
And one of the bets, he said he went in and put like 200 grand on, and someone said, oh, right, someone else has literally just made the same bet. It was, say, 10 to 1. It's now 7 to 1. So he knows that so much money is being put on this bet that the line's going down. And he can see the line going down. He's like, we've made a mistake. We're now affecting the betting line because so many people. This betting, the guy who's taking the bets, he was like, I've had so many kids coming in here putting money on this. They're all saying someone in ASU's rigging it. So the FBI are now alerted to this, going, something's going on. And you know what? The last person they thought was involved, Headache Smith. They were like, there's no way it's him. He's scoring 30 points.
Yeah.
It's not him. Anyway, so it's really funny because, not if you're Benny Silman, the bookmaker. In those days, you didn't have, it's in 94, so you haven't got your mobile, or it wasn't on TV. So he goes to bed and falls asleep. And what happens is, during the game, I think what it is, Washington. So again, I think they say to him 6.
Respect to the guy for having 5 million on a bet and going to sleep.
I think it was,
like,
on the line.
who the hell?
Well, he thought we've won, done
that?
it. We got the player. He's like, I've got 2 players in my pocket. Anyway, so what happens is they're playing Washington. Washington are, I think it goes, I can't remember which way around it is. I think they can't lose by 6.
It's one of these weird universes where Washington's good, is it?
Which way around it? It's definitely Washington. Yeah, it's definitely Washington. And basic. Oh, no, that's it. No, sorry. I remember with this one, Headache says, "You bet it on me. Bet it on me now." He goes, he goes, "You bet it on us to win. I'm telling you now, we're gonna beat them by like more than how many points."
Yeah.
So they put all the money on him. Washington come in and they're up by 10.
Oh, wow.
But all the bookies have got it at -7.
Okay.
And right at the end, there's 5 seconds left or 3 seconds left. Everyone knows the game's over. You should lose them by 10. Headache is going nuts. He gets the ball. He drives down full court. He has the shot. If that shot goes in, everyone wins all their money.
Yeah.
And everyone's looking, going, "Why the hell is this guy sprinting full court to get this shot like this?" They're just thinking, "Oh, maybe it's passion." Anyway, I think that is probably a little bit of evidence of who's involved there. He misses the shot, like millimeters, and it's out. Everyone loses. So basically, the end result of this is Headache Smith. It all gets brought out. Headache Smith, he pleads guilty. He goes to prison for 1 year.
Yeah.
And he started something up where he's trying to get people to make the right decision and stuff. So he's trying to get that message out there, which is how I know the story.
Yep.
Benny Silman received nearly 4-year federal prison sentence.
Yeah.
Not only did you get your 5 mil, you lost your 2.5, you get 4 years in prison because you listened to a drug gangster. And multiple other people were prosecuted in connection with the betting syndicate. Smith later became public speaker, warning athletes about gambling risk. And
I think it's odd that the guy who placed the bets has a bigger penalty than the guy who actually did it. That's like someone saying the person who said go break in that person's house is more liable than the person who actually goes and does the robbery.
yeah, I guess because
Doesn't add up.
it's got to be because of the money.
Well, I'd imagine it's because money's going across states and they're quite... I know it's America's like 50
He's
states.
cheating to get 2.5 million at one point.
Yeah, but also the American law has some really weird things. Like if you move alcohol, if you buy alcohol in one state and you want to send it to another state, they have to have actual licenses to send it because prohibition is still on the Bill of Rights or whatever it is. So America has some really unusual laws about moving money and moving stuff. So that's why I imagine it was breaking federal laws, which is insane.
I've just found my my one sheet that's got all the terminology like money line, prop bets, point shaving, covering the spread. I could have done with that 20 minutes ago.
I'll take a look at that later.
But the lessons from that case was what I said to you earlier. Even one player can affect the outcome of a game, which I guess makes it ripe for match fixing. College athletes, they were unpaid at the time. They're vulnerable to bribery. And that is my point with UK-based players in the SLB, in the BBL, whatever you want to call it. When they're on 25 grand, they are vulnerable to bribery. Yeah, they're vulnerable to a drug lord coming in going, "You're going to do this, so I'm going to break your legs."
Yeah.
And that was my point that I said, you never know what pressure those 5 guys are under. I'm not condoning it at all, but you don't know what
you don't.
result in it. It could just be like, I want to go get mine. Yeah,
it's greed.
It could be that,
100%.
but you don't know. It could be that they were vulnerable athletes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just bizarre for it to be happening. I'm gonna. I got maybe got 2 questions on it.
Can I just finish with one thing?
Yeah.
But the last lesson from the case was the ability to spot suspicious betting behaviour is what helped the law enforcement catch the scheme.
Yeah, there we go. And they'll be sharing that all around the world, and people will be looking at that sort of thing. Someone's paid a bit of money to be, go to Vegas and go to those places in the world. They're experts at tracking how people bet, the psychology of people betting as well, and how the patterns and the recognition of that stuff. So, yeah. I mean, my question really would be, because they're doing that they've done that in the UK.
I'd like to know the money.
Yeah, I mean, we all want to know that.
That is
we all want to know what it was
a
actually
Netflix show right there.
It is, yeah.
Betting scandal in the BBL.
So I'm going to go back to something you said in one of our early first season shows. And you said, Elton John said, as long as they spell my name right, any press is good press. Yeah? Or words to that effect.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
This is talking about British basketball. It's going to be in the news, the fact that these guys...
Is it?
Wow.
That's what I think. Is it? There is no news on it. Like,
but it's literally just come out.
Yeah.
It's literally just come out this week. So some reporters are in sports and stuff. Someone's going to grab hold of it in the next week or two and be like, wow.
You won't read this on Sky News or Sky Sports.
Wow. You say that.
And the SLB, they've moved themselves away from this. They've just said this wasn't the league that we are in. This is the BBL. This has got nothing to do with us. And that team is not part of the current SLB.
Correct. However,
it is though, isn't it?
It is. And that's exactly what I was going with is, everyone's like, wow, we've rebranded it. Great. It's like pulling a badge off a car and picking another badge and going, yeah, look, it's one of those now. It's not. It is what it is. We know what it is. It's a three-legged pig. It's been the BBL and then it's the SLB. Now it's going to go off and be the GBBL or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. It's all going to be the same thing. And whenever it comes down to the season's wound up, people have got various trophies. Good for everyone. That's great. It was nice to see people like Sheffield and stuff in the UK basketball doing well, and Manchester. It's nice to see other teams, not just London.
You're going to ask, should we talk about like even this?
No, because I think it's good press. I think it's press. Press is good press. The fact that people are betting on basketball means it's an exciting game. It's an interesting game. So that raises the press on it. This is my question to you.
Did those referees in Surrey not call that step out of line 3 times deliberately because they had a bet on? Possibly, Mark. No, that's not the question, was it?
If you are going to influence a game, do you influence the refs or do you influence the players?
I think you can get either, couldn't you? Doesn't matter. You can get either.
Which is more effective, though?
Either. I think
that's my question, because we've seen, like you talked about the NBA, there was obviously very famous ones where he didn't call the foul, then did call the foul, and then we've seen it in the last couple of seasons, like Rudy Gobert saying about making the money gestures because one of the refs who was associated with bribery is still reffing.
I think it's harder for a ref, is what I'd say, because
there's 2 other people who are comparable to it.
You're scrutinised as well. Like, why did you make that call? Oh, you made a mistake. Okay, cool. You made a mistake 5 times, and if you didn't make that mistake, the other team would have possibly won. Or I don't know. It's difficult. I think it would be, if I was going to do it myself, I'd be looking at players probably, because you're in more control, rather than a ref. I think, but I don't know.
So you think the players could ultimately, because I think what's interesting is that they're saying to these guys, right, leave it with me. I want to get the game within 6 points and 10 points and that sort of stuff and make those sort of bets.
Yeah.
That's cool. But if you just like,
it's not.
No, but what I'm saying is if you take a step back and just look at that, in any basketball game that you've ever watched, ever played, it doesn't matter. If someone said, right, you've got to get this within a certain points and stuff, that's not easy to do.
Yeah. Well, going back to Headache Smith,
and I know
he said 6 and 2 games it was 6.
Yeah.
Like that, but he was a talented guy, and he was an absolute shoo-in to be in the NBA.
Yeah.
And there's a video of him sat there waiting for his name to get called in the NBA draft, and it doesn't get called. No one says anything. It's like nothing happened. But he wasn't prosecuted for the betting scandal until after the NBA draft. So did all the NBA teams know?
Yeah, they didn't know. Yeah, and just don't go near him.
You know what? But to answer your question, I would say the way I look at this, and it's the whole bad press, good press. And I know people have got different views on this. However, my view is, let's say you've got a family member who's being a bit of a dick.
Yep.
You fall out.
I'm usually that family member.
You still love them, don't you? And you still meet up with them for a party to go to Christmas. Just every now and then they make mistakes. And that's why that's exactly how I look at this situation with the BBL and the SLB. Okay, someone made a mistake. Does that make me think, oh, the whole league's rubbish? Definitely not.
No,
I just think
no.
some individuals made mistakes. They are now being severely punished.
Yeah.
Severely punished. Their careers in the sport of basketball are over. Should that mean the league should suffer? Definitely not. Definitely not. And because the league has been cooperating and doing all of that, and everything that I've seen with the British basketball, they are so supportive of having a positive league and all of that. You know, all credit to him. All credit to him.
Well, do you know what's kind of interesting is that where you're saying about this, the thing that's come into my mind is the enhanced games. Now, have you heard about that? It's been in the thing at the moment. And one of the main people in particular, for those who don't know, the enhanced games was set up by an Australian guy. And the idea is that you can do
drugs.
Performance enhancing drugs. Yeah, you can do drugs and performance enhancing drugs to basically make yourself the best human that you could possibly be. And then they're going to run a thing like that, which seems like lunacy. All of the sporting federations, Olympic committees and stuff, they've all got together and basically said, if you are a participant in that games, you will never be allowed at the Olympics or any international events again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And an example of that, I'm going to show you. Just go look up James Magnuson. But most people have seen that's him before, that's him enhanced.
Wow.
It's like he ate the Hulk.
It's like the Hulk, isn't it?
and they're like,
Bruce Banner.
And they're saying, well, it's disappointing that they're not going to let me back into the Olympics. You go, really? Really? Like,
no, but I get that. Do you know why? It's because the way they will look at it, they'll say the performance or the drug enhancers gets your body to a certain level. Yeah. Then you're then maintaining that level. So I don't know. I kind of get that, but
the thing is, once you've got that, you can't lose it. If that makes sense, you've increased your VO2 max, you've increased your muscle strength, you blah blah blah. So what I find interesting is you're seeing these things. We've seen in the Olympic committees, we've seen big bans like across the board from Russia. We've seen doping bans. We've seen the gambling bans with Porter, obviously, quite famously in the NBA the last few seasons, where he got sort of caught out for doing his little bit of betting on the side in a very similar scheme. You'd think by now people would know just not to do this. It's just you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
Gambling.
Yeah, I mean...
You're just going to get caught. It's just that simple.
I don't want to give tips away. Not that I'm the person to do it, but if you were going to do it, you need to keep that circle tight.
I've literally
and there's a
every time you open your mouth, you sound like a criminal. Do you understand? You're going to hear this back and be like,
you're keeping that circle tight, and you're not changing the betting line.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you think, hey, this is going to be a good fun, I think Manchester's on a great run. They're going to be playing London at home. I'm going to stick tenner on or something. Again, we're not advising go gamble by any stretch. If you're going to do that and you think, hey, that might be even cured, that's cool. But like, as soon as you start talking about hundreds of thousands or whatever it is,
you know what? If I won the Euro Millions, you could actually, if you were a billionaire, you could have a laugh with this. You go, yeah, I'm just going to start betting money on one team, like a certain team. Yeah, I'm going to bet 100 grand, and then we're going, what does this guy know?
I mean, yeah, but again, you'd probably get flagged straight up, wouldn't you?
It would. Why is that amount of money suddenly gone on?
Keep turning up to like the opposite games, to the other things as well. So like, if you're betting on Manchester, go turn up to the Sheffield games, and everyone will be like, "But he's bet on Manchester. That's really odd." But he's never been to a Manchester game, but he's betting in Sheffield. Like, just really throw their brains off. No, I mean, they've got lifetime bans from FIBA, and I think that's. I think the only thing I want not to wrap in that, but is that whole thing. Not only are they getting these 4 players getting penalised, and obviously the other guy's got a 10-year ban, but the other guys can't go to any sporting event, can they? It's like they're just banned from like that professional sport.
Yeah.
FIBA's just completely banned them. Like, it's just, that's it, you're out.
Yeah. So you've got Quincy Taylor, Charleston Dobbs.
Yeah.
They've been given a lifetime suspension from all basketball activities in the UK. FIBA came along and went, sod that worldwide.
Yes, FIBA. Yeah, FIBA. Did
But
it
they
the whole
also
thing.
got a three grand ban.
Yeah. Oh,
Sorry, a $3,000 fine.
yeah, they'd already paid that, didn't they? Back
Okay.
whenever they got a paid thing. And yeah.
But then Shaquem Johnson, Paddock Wang, they've got their now worldwide lifetime suspensions. And Joshua McFoley is the one who can't play till 2034. But they have all been given the opportunity to appeal this decision. So, again, we don't know the details, but let's see. However, Mark, I
Two
did
of them
do
haven't,
this.
have they? They've just accepted it, haven't they? I thought.
I'm just looking at the stats. So Quincy Taylor, he's averaging 12 points a game. Charleston Dobbs, say just under 9 points a game. Shaquem Johnson, 12.7. Paddock Wang, 10.9. So he's and this is one of the ones that jumped out to me. Paddock Wang, he's averaging 10.9 points per game. Josh McFoley, bear in mind, he's only got the 10-year. He's 19.5 points per game.
But he was like in his 30s, isn't he? So
Yeah.
He's toast. And you're a 10-year ban. He's
But
toast.
this, I mean, I'm guessing here, but I went through the fixtures and was trying to work out what jumps out. And what jumped out to me, let me count this again, because I thought there were 6 or 7 extremely low scoring games
Okay.
for Surrey. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I wonder if the bet is that they don't score a certain number of points.
Okay, so you're playing Colombo here.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just one more question.
Let me just give me 20 seconds. I'll tell you.
Oh my God.
I mean, the reality is that unless they release those details, this is all, hyperbole, I guess. It's like you say, none of us, although it's not great what they've done, we can't judge it based on the fact of we don't know their situation in life. So it might be 3 of the 4 guys did it for greed, and one of them went, you know what, I could really benefit.
I think 1 or 2 are the main guys, and they've brought the rest on.
Yeah,
That's probably what it is.
yeah, most
But
likely.
so there are 9 extremely low scoring games.
What's extremely low scoring?
54-60.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen games like that, but that is 54.
I'll get 2 games in a row, because I found some really good examples and went, it doesn't really make sense.
I mean, to be honest though, if they've done that in those games, my curiosity is more, why has it come out now? And this is the 2022-2023 season. These players aren't playing in the SLB anyway. So what happened? Why does it take that long? That's my curiosity. I mean, obviously everyone would like to know how much what was the bets, what were the games. But why does it take so long to wind this back? Because you'd think they would know this. If they knew those were the games that were rigged, how long was it after the games were rigged that they found this out? I mean, none of that information's come out, but that's what I'd love to know.
The Sheffield games are all really low scoring.
It's Sheffield, though, isn't it? Up until this year, they've been
So
pants.
again, they are so
Sorry,
so
Sheffield.
low, so close.
Yeah.
But again, when I look at it, I imagine everything. So I wonder, I wonder if you've got multiple players with multiple teams. You never know.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I think, like you said, though, I mean, if you've got these 5 guys and they're all on the same team, they were all on the Surrey team, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like you said, you want to keep it tight and close if you're the people that you know. What would be interesting is there's a couple of players that I'd imagine were on that Surrey Scorchers team at the time who would have gone to other teams in the SLB. That would be what I'd be interested in, because other people would have played alongside them in those squads that time. But obviously we know Surrey players, or we can name Surrey players, for example. I'm not going to throw their name in the same hat in this conversation, but that's what I'm interested in, because you think, does this happen and your teammates have no idea? If it's one person throwing it,
Yeah.
probably yes. There's two people throwing it, like the example you gave, maybe.
You got
if there's
the
five people,
five.
yeah.
So I got an example for you, Mark, and this doesn't make sense to me. I mean, again, this is all conjecture.
Yeah.
Plymouth away, they lose 91-68. They only score 68 points.
Yep.
91. You conceded 91-68.
Yeah.
Next time you go there, it's 90-83. Whoa. Okay, that's a 14-point difference there. What's happened there? The next time you play them, 93-85. So that first game, the next time you play them, 105-95. So when you play Plymouth and only scored 68 points,
Yeah.
I wonder if the spread was they don't score more than 70. That's my, I don't know. I'm
be.
really looking into it. I don't know. But yeah, and also for someone, I feel like I'm being harsh here, but for someone who averages 10 points, all of a sudden it's like you look at certain games and it's like 20, where is it? 24 points.
Yeah.
And it's top of all the board. I'm like, is that just a good game or is everyone making sure you've got the ball?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. It could be. It could be. Put the money on that. And like you say, as soon as you have tainted the water, so to speak, there's a dark cloud over it now, and you have to relook at everything.
Yeah.
What has been corrupted? I mean,
Can I just say one
surprise.
thing?
Big
Do you know what
surprise.
it might be? Who knows? For the fact that FIBA have got in and gone, no way, lifetime ban, that says this is
I'm very intrigued by the FIBA
spreading.
thing. Very intrigued by the FIBA thing.
But what happens if this is they are betting on their own team to win?
I don't know.
So let's say they're just saying, we're going to win against London this Saturday.
They're terrible gamblers if they're betting against Surrey winning. They've been bottom for like 6 years
Maybe
or
they're
something.
betting on them losing.
I
don't know, but
just
that's the one time I think.
it sounds more plausible, like you said, over and unders or players getting certain points. It makes more sense.
They won't score more than 70. Looking at that thing, I see you're not going to score more than 70 points or 60 points. There was one that was 54.
Someone's going to be held
52.
to a certain points in a quarter.
Exactly.
They're going to be, or that sort of stuff makes more sense because, as we know in basketball, which game was it? What game was it?
I'd love to get one of these guys on
There
the
was
show.
one where someone said they were talking about Kobe or whatever, and they said he had Kobe, and he's like, yeah, I had Kobe, and it was up till like the third quarter, and he's like, he's only scored like 6 or 8 points or something like that, whatever it was. I've forgotten the dude's name. Everyone's seen the clip, and he's got the metal grill teeth. He's quality guy. It's annoying. But he said he was with Kobe, and Kobe was like, he comes up to him, and he's like, he's on the third quarter. He's like, yeah, I've got you. I've got Kobe. He's got 8 points, whatever. And then Kobe looks at him and goes, you've had a good game.
You've had a good game.
And he's like, what do you mean I've had a good game? I'm all over you. And he said, like, he knocked down like 25, 30 points in the fourth quarter. Like, he just destroyed him. And he was like, oh.
Yeah.
And he said, like, he could turn it on like that. And he's like, the 3 quarters, you go, we see it as Steph. It's the same sort of player. Whereas Tim Duncan's and those players are the opposites, where they were always 5 points, 6 points, 5 points, 10 points. And you suddenly go, he's got 25. You go, what? It's just because he's consistently popping something in every occasionally.
Talking about Kobe, I saw Kobe Bryant play on one occasion in LA, and I remember sitting there for the first 3 quarters going, he's all right. He's not as good as everyone thinks he is. And I said that at the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
And I looked up and went, bloody hell, he scored 24 points.
Yeah.
I was like, I haven't noticed that he's been scoring 24 points. It was kind of just plodding along. Anyway, end of the game, 48 points, Kobe Bryant. It was like, oh, wow, yeah. Fourth quarter, he's like, right, I'm going to play now.
Put a foot down.
And it was like, all right.
So I think the modern players like that as well is Giannis is another one like that. He's regular, and Joker. They're the same. They're those players that are getting like 20, 25, 26. They get it every single night. They don't even bat an eyelid. Credit to LeBron. It's the same thing. His average is like 24, 26 points per game. Like for 21 seasons, it's pretty impressive. They just night in, night out, he'll just go out and give you 25 without thinking about it. That's bloody impressive.
Yeah.
Well, that is
right.
it.
There you go. That's the betting scandal.
Let's
for the BBL.
Let's see. Well, the SLB. Well, that one again. No, yeah, BBL, I guess.
Well, it was the BBL and the Surrey Scorchers. So the Surrey Scorchers. The Surrey Scorchers ceased to exist the season after.
Yeah.
And it was the Surrey 89ers that went into the SLB. Now, the skeptic in me
is that why
is
they,
just
is that why they put
wonders.
it to bed?
I wonder if that's why they put it. Well, it wasn't to do with the university and all of that. I mean, does the university sponsor the new team? And they just went, we just need to move away from that brand.
Well, because the Scorchers, it was Guildford Heat, if I remember rightly, and they did get a championship or two. They did very well in early 2000s, around 90s. To that, they were a team. But when it's been the Scorchers as of late, I think they were having challenges. So yeah, it might be that they moved away from it.
I was disappointed that all 5 players were American. I was disappointed. I was like,
why?
Well, they've let not just themselves down, but they've let every person, every athlete from America that follows. I just think they've let their country down. I know that might sound a little silly.
God, drama.
I just think they've.
It's a bit dramatic. You have let your country down.
A little bit. All 5 Americans, and in my head, all I can hear is, "I want to get paid." That's all I can hear when I was reading through everything.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't avoid that, can you?
And
it's just a money motivator.
I couldn't help think that I felt sorry for these guys because I generally think they are vulnerable athletes, and that's why I said that word. I think they're vulnerable athletes, and this has happened because of that. And again, until salary goes up and the investment comes in UK basketball, there's the potential something like this going to come. They're saying that this is going to happen. When a referee is paid £150 or £200, whatever it is, for a SLB game, BBL game, you put $5,000 in their pocket to foul someone out, and you got to bet on that. Is that going to happen?
Yeah, of course. And it's like you said, it's a small amount of money if you're talking about illegal gambling, but to an actual player in their pocket, it is actually a significant amount of money. Yeah. For any of us, if someone's a deal, there's $5,000, you'd be like,
oh,
damn.
Yeah.
Okay. That
can you say this on your podcast for $5,000? Sure.
That takes care of the bills this year.
Yeah.
Done. And food like that. That's huge these days. So you can understand it.
That's why I think some of the athletes are vulnerable.
I think it's surprising. I think a couple of the players as well, where you think you had showed yourself to be assets, you could have gone into Europe and carried on your basketball career. Now you're toast. No one will touch you.
Like Johnson and Wang, we were talking about them all the time on the show, and they were like 2 of our favourite players.
They are banned from any FIBA activities, so they're not going to be in EuroLeague. They're not going to be anything like that. It won't be in NBA Africa or anything like that. My question is, will they go to leagues like in
worldwide? It's not covered under FIBA.
Yeah.
Russia? Go play in Russia.
China.
Oh, China. Okay.
Because the CBA, the Chinese Basketball Association, that has got where a lot how people joke. They say, "Oh, you got to pack your bags up and learn Cantonese," but there's a big CBA as it's so you got the NBA, obviously you got FIBA, and then you have the CBA. It's the third wheel in terms of its own regulatory, because it's China, so they regulate their own things and everything. If you're banned in FIBA. So, I mean, that's from any. So that means you can't be in Olympics, you can't be in EuroLeague, you can't be in any of that sort of stuff. And most likely NBA.
Big chunk of your basketball career is over, isn't it?
None of them are going to the NBA anyway. So it's just a case of, Anyway, that's the end of that, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's shocking, and I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know if there's going to be any more news. So let's see what happens from any more news.
Yeah.
Wow. So ends another edition to the Basketball Podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Great episode.
Great episode. It's nice to be back. Go out and check out other episodes. Thank you for listening. I have been Mark.
I have been Paul, and we've been talking about the BBL betting scandal. And the only way this could get worse is if we were talking about badminton. Good night.
Holy shnikes.